When I married Pei Yu, I did not know he already had someone in his heart. It wasn't until 2 years later, when he rose to the position of chief minister and brought back his beloved, that I realized. Only then did I learn that he could smile, that the cold treatment over these 2 years was not due to his solitary nature, but simply because he did not like me. Since that was the case, I had no intention of getting in their way, when I offered to step down as his legitimate wife. Who knew that someone close to him would send me poisoned wine, until my dying breath? I never understood why he hated me so much. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. I woke up again because of a sharp pain in my fingertip. I hissed and opened my eyes to the dazzling spring light. I wasn't in a cold woodshed, and there was no pain in my body. I stared blankly at the clothes in my hand. A small bead of blood welling up on my index finger. Where am I? Mind your eyes, miss. You're sewing for the master again. A maid came over and took the needlework from my hands. Xiao Jing. I tried calling her name. I remembered this maid had died long ago, when I was locked in the woodshed. She looked at me, puzzled, then touched my face. Your complexion looks poor, miss. I told you were too tired. Master Pei has been toiling away at the Ministry of Justice these past few days. But why must you follow suit? I touched the hand on my cheek. It was warm. I was actually still alive. I didn't need to ask Xiao Jing what year it was. I knew that Pei Yu and I had been married for a year now. The clothes in my hand were the ones he had torn while working on a case at the Ministry of Justice. I'd never done any needlework before, and later, when Pei Yu wore the clothes, my mother-in-law immediately noticed the mended stitches. She told Pei Yu, "Don't wear these clothes anymore, lest people laugh at you for marrying a wife who can't even do needlework properly." I sat by, my face flushed, unable to utter a word. My marriage to Pei Yu was something I had sought, and if I continued to act on impulse, I feared he would dislike me even more. Pei Yu listened quietly without saying anything in my defense. He truly hadn't worn these clothes anymore. Thinking of this, I smiled bitterly. Since I've come back to life, why did I have to end up in this soul-crushing place? I closed my eyes for a long while before finally feeling like I could control this body with ease. Xiao Jing rubbed my stiff neck for me. "Miss, are you sending food to the Ministry of Justice again today? It's been several days in a row, and Lord Pei still hasn't returned. The people at the ministry are practically laughing at us." As she spoke, Xiao Jing's voice grew softer. "I'll go and ask Lord Pei to come back. After all, today is the young lady's birthday. He really ought to return." Birthday? I coldly watched the blood on my fingertips, wondering if it was a birthday or a death anniversary. Since coming to the Pei residence, I haven't had a proper birthday celebration. Back at the Duke's residence, my father and mother would start preparing 3 days before my birthday, and no matter how busy my brother was at the censorate, he would always rush back. I enjoy liveliness, yet I've spent 2 cold and lonely years in the Pei residence. Although Pei Yu's mother never made things difficult for me, she was never satisfied with me. The daughter of a duke's household, in her eyes, I was just a pretty but useless ornament. When I fell ill or got hurt, she never sent anyone to check on me, let alone remember occasions like my birthday. Xiao Jing packed the meal box and was about to head to the Ministry of Justice, but I grabbed her hand and smiled gently. "Don't deliver it today, let's go to the moon viewing pavilion instead." Xiao Jing looked at me in surprise. "Doesn't Lord Pei dislike the dishes at the moon viewing pavilion for being too sweet? Should we pack something else to send to him instead?" Seeing Xiao Jing's reaction, it was clear that in my previous life, I had always put Pei Yu first, so much so that even those around me noticed. Yet Pei Yu remained as unmoving as a mountain. Before, I thought he had a difficult childhood, so I wanted to do more, to make him see that I truly liked him. It wasn't until UWN appeared that I understood that when you like someone, you don't need to try too hard, just talking to them makes you smile. Jinju was still as I remembered it, full of covered bridges and green waters. The talented scholar and the beautiful lady strolled by the lake in the evening, its surface shimmering as if scattered with crushed stars. Xiao Jing and I chose a seat by the window. The breeze from the lake often slipped in, bringing a pleasant coolness. "Miss, what made you decide to come here alone to eat? Are you sure you don't want to send a message to Lord Pei?" She still couldn't set her mind at ease. I placed a pastry in her bowl. "No need, he's probably busy now, and there's no need in the future either. He can stay wherever he wants." "Why?" "No reason, I'm just tired. Liking Pei Yu is too exhausting. I don't want to like him anymore." Xiao Jing's eyes widened as she looked at me. I smiled with relief, about to say something more. But she pointed behind me. I turned to look, and a handsome, dignified young man stood behind me. His eyes, deep as air, had once been devoid of emotion, but now his brow was slightly furrowed. Who else could it be but my husband? When I used to see him, I always reminded myself to observe proper etiquette and be courteous. Now, here I am, drinking openly late at night, which is indeed not very appropriate, but there's nothing much to care about anymore. I remained seated, with no intention of rising to greet him. Lord Pay, what a pleasant surprise. Care for a drink after your duties? His furrowed brows relaxed, and he resumed his usual unshakable composure. Madam seems to be in high spirits as well, enjoying a drink all by herself, though he addressed me as Madam. His tone was filled with nothing but aloofness. Little Jing across from me was already too scared to look up. It's also true that with me drinking here now, he might see it as me trying to drown my sorrows, making a scene for no reason. Just as I expected, Peiyu was already showing some impatience. The Ministry of Justice has indeed been busy lately. If you insist on making a fuss, Lord Pei, please go attend to your duties. I'll finish this drink and then head back. Today is my birthday, so I really should have a drink. My tone softened, devoid of any emotion. Now I don't want to have any feelings for Peiyu either. It's best to have no ties, so that when the time comes, I can leave cleanly and decisively. Today is your birthday. Peiyu's voice suddenly rose a little. He pondered for a moment and then returned to his usual tone. I was too busy and forgot. There's an authentic work by Master C.I. Shan in my bookcase. Though it's not particularly valuable, it's a landscape painting, which you like. You can look for it when you go back, as a birthday gift. I nodded. All right, I'll look for it when I go back. Peiyu saw that I was not emotional, perhaps thinking that I would not make a fuss, so he gave a few instructions and left. Xiao Jing saw him walk away and immediately exclaimed, I knew Master had you in his heart, otherwise why would he even give you a rare authentic piece of calligraphy? I calmly ate the cheese on the plate. He didn't have me in his heart, he was just afraid that I, a young lady from the Duke's mansion, would cause a scene and affect his investigation. After all, the recent case affected his career path, and he wanted to use this case to advance. Upon my return, I summoned the shadow guards my brother had left with me. There's an adopted daughter in the household of Magistrate Su of Jinju, named Uwn. Take her a message saying that Peiyu, the minister of Dali Temple, is looking for her. Give her this token, and she should accompany you to Jinju. With that, I handed him the jade pendant from the box. It had taken many efforts on my part for Peiyu to give me his jade pendant. At the time, I thought that since he had given it to me, it proved he still had feelings for me. Now, I give it out without any feeling in my heart. The hidden guard clearly paused for a moment but still accepted the order. The next morning, I woke up a bit late. In the past, I would rise before dawn, first paying respects to my mother-in-law, then attending to all matters big and small in the household. I was always alert every day and hadn't had a good night's sleep in a long time. I stretched lazily as I walked into the courtyard, only to find Peiyu standing there properly. I quickly withdrew my hand. Shouldn't he have left early for his duties? You're not on duty today. I skipped the greetings and asked directly. Peiyu looked at me with deep eyes and pulled out something from behind him. Yesterday I asked you to take the painting, but you didn't. I brought it to you, and seeing you were sound asleep, I didn't disturb you. He stubbornly held the painting out to me. If I didn't take it, given Peiyu's temperament, he would certainly press for an answer. Now was not a good time to talk about divorce. I forced a smile and accepted the painting. Thank you for delivering it, my lord. I was actually planning to go fetch it now. You wouldn't have gone to get it. Xiao Jing said you were heading to the southern part of the city to listen to music after waking up. Peiyu bluntly exposed my lie without any emotion. Now I couldn't even manage a smile, and I didn't have the patience to keep up this act with him any longer. It's true that one shouldn't have patience when facing an enemy. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it. All I ask is to protect myself, avoid implicating the Duke's residence, and make a clean exit. I don't want to confront Peiyu head-on. I've witnessed his ruthlessness and decisiveness in my past life. He never gives up until he achieves his goal. Holding the painting, I suppressed my temper. Sir, you must be late for duty. You should hurry along. I happen to have business in the southern part of the city today. Get ready, and I'll take you there on the way. My carriage is faster. I smiled gently, my fingers tracing the painting. I just remembered that Lan Zhai has new pastries today, so I won't be going to listen to music. Please go ahead, sir, and travel safely. Peiyu pursed his lips, then looked up at me again, opening his mouth as if to say something. But in the end, he said nothing and left. The moment he turned, my eyes suddenly grew cold. I thought the matter would simply fade away, but to my surprise, my mother-in-law sent someone to find me just before dinner, in the small narrow Buddhist hall, she was muttering to herself. I still bowed to her, and she stopped chanting when she heard me enter. I heard that Nyenji didn't go to work today, but instead went to your courtyard. You are the eldest daughter of the Duke's household. I cannot demand anything of you. But you also shouldn't act on a whim over trivial matters. It was the first time she had spoken so much to me since I married into the family. My mother-in-law looked at me impatiently. I used to think you had the bearing of a proper lady of the house, but now you seem less and less fitting for the role. I didn't say a word, just listened as she listed my faults. After a long tirade, she steered the conversation toward the matter of taking a concubine. In my past life, she had brought this up too. Pei Yu firmly refused at the time, and I had felt relieved, thinking my husband must have cared for me. Little did I know, his heart belonged to someone else. My mother-in-law seemed afraid I wouldn't agree. She still feared the influence of my family, the Duke's household. She quickly changed her tone. Finding someone agreeable to bring home could also be a support to you. How many concubines Pei Yu takes in the future has nothing to do with me. Feeling a bit drowsy, I obediently agreed. All right, I'll follow mother-in-law's arrangements. She paused for a moment, then quickly cut me off. That's the right way to think, if you take it easy. You might conceive sooner. Your belly has been quiet for too long. I forced a faint smile and was the first to say I needed to go back for dinner. Perhaps she thought I was agreeable today, so she didn't scold me for being rude and readily let me go. Back in my own courtyard, Xiao Jing hopped to my side like a rabbit. Did you leave a lamp for the master tonight, miss? The master specifically sent someone to say he'd be back today, mentioning there's a martial arts competition tomorrow. In the past, Pei Yu often returned late, and I would always leave a lamp for him, but most of the time, he slept in his study. I don't know why I was so persistent back then, knowing full well he wouldn't come. No need to stay. Have someone clean the study. No, never mind, just bring dinner quickly. I'm already dizzy with hunger. However, for tomorrow's martial arts competition, I remember that my brother's friend, Shen Li, will be injured during the horse race, which will later make it difficult for him to walk. It's quite a coincidence, but in my previous life, when I was dying and no one would help me, I happened to encounter Shen Li who was visiting Pei Yu. He disregarded everyone's objections and forced his way in to take me to the medical hall. Although he still couldn't save me, I was grateful to him nonetheless. Thinking about this, I went to bed early, only to hear people moving back and forth in the courtyard, followed by Xiao Jing's voice. The young lady went to bed early. Should I wake her? The person outside was silent for a moment. Why are there no lights left on tonight? The young lady said. She said the light in the courtyard was too bright, keeping her from sleeping. A soft sigh was heard, followed by the sound of footsteps fading away in the courtyard. Early the next morning, Pei Yu left early to preside over the martial arts competition. My mother-in-law was completely focused on arranging a concubine and had no mind to pay attention to me. I knew exactly where to find the missing medicinal ingredient, so I took Xiao Jing with me and left, lying to her that I needed to buy some medicine to nourish my body, and secretly purchased that particular herb. Passing by a pastry shop again, it's been a few days since I last visited the Lord. Why not pack a few pastries and go see him? Actually, I was looking for a plausible excuse to sneak into the martial arts arena unnoticed. Pei Yu never sees anyone while handling official business. I used to often deliver things to the Ministry of Justice, but usually only met his guards. The attendants, much like their master, rarely accepted the items I brought, always making excuses to brush me off. I had expected today to be no different. Who knew that as soon as we arrived at the martial arts arena, we ran into Pei Yu's personal guard, his eyes wide, his legs churning. He ran over quickly. The madam is here. The madam is really here. The competition is almost over, my lord. He was so excited that he spoke incoherently, and then vigorously pushed the person next to him. Go quickly. Go tell my lord that the madam is here. I'll take the madam to the tent for tea first. Xiao Jing stared blankly at the two people jumping around, and I was also very confused. The young guard took the basket from Xiao Jing's hand and blocked us from behind, as if afraid I would run away, ushering us inside. I had originally planned to pretend to deliver pastries and then go find Shen Li, but it seemed that wouldn't be possible now. He led us directly to Pei Yu's tent. As we reached the entrance, I suddenly remembered that Pei Yu didn't like me entering his living quarters. The last time I had entered his study without permission, he, who usually showed no emotion, had displayed a rare impatience. Thinking of this, I stopped in my tracks. The young attendant anxiously said, "Madam, if you go inside and wait, it will be fine. The master will return soon." "No, I'll just wait outside." Better to avoid trouble, it will make the separation go more smoothly later. The person who had just been sent to find Pei Yu returned. Something's happened. General Shen fell off his horse during a duel, and it's chaos over there. The Lord might not be back for a while. Hearing this news, I lost my patience to wait and quickly asked them to take me to the dueling ground. When we arrived, it was indeed chaotic. From a distance, I could see Pei Yu maintaining order, and the imperial physician had already arrived. I made my way through the crowd toward the tent. Pei Yu, who had been far away just moments before, suddenly appeared beside me. I only felt my wrist tighten as he, with a grim face, pulled me out of the crowd. Nonsense. Who allowed you to come to this place? What were Ping'an and the others doing? I told you there was no need to visit me, just one ingredient short. How could it be that the most crucial ingredient is missing? Go buy it at full speed. Of course the medicine is easy to buy, but can General Shen afford to wait? Inside, the sound of an argument continued. Pei Yu was still pulling me away. But in that moment, I don't know where I found the courage. I broke free from his grip, turned around, and ran back inside. Several guards stopped me, and I immediately raised the medicine package in my hand. I am from the Duke's residence. I have a few medicinal herbs here. Could I trouble the imperial physician to see if these are the ones you're looking for? At the moment, there was no other way, so the imperial physician had to examine the medicine in my hand. Upon seeing the medicinal herbs, the elderly physician's eyes lit up. Indeed, General Shen's ancestors have accumulated virtue, and now a living bodhisattva has delivered the medicine. We are saved. Everyone in the tent breathed a sigh of relief and began discussing other matters. I recall that the daughter of the Duke's household was married to the Minister of Justice. He doesn't return home all day. I originally thought his wife was a shrew, but I didn't expect her to be such a kind-hearted woman. Amidst the murmuring, I walked out of the crowd. Pei Yu stood like a green pine outside the throng. Remembering what had just happened, I calmly lowered my head first. I came today to bring my husband some pastries. Since my husband doesn't like me coming, I won't come again. Pei Yu gazed at me, his guards now rushing over with the pastries. All watching Pei Yu's expression, not daring to breathe. Ping'an and the others tried to persuade me, but I insisted on coming. Don't blame them, I intended to save someone. But I didn't want others to be implicated because of me. Pei Yu's expression grew even colder. In the past, I had done everything to maintain our relationship, yet he remained indifferent. Now, he must dislike me even more. Since you've come to deliver pastries, have some before you leave. Pei Yu's sudden remark stopped me dead in my tracks. After a moment's thought, I smiled and agreed. With so many people at the training grounds, he was mindful of the Pei family's reputation and honor, and wouldn't be too harsh on his wife. I had indeed been reckless today. He could do as he pleased. I followed him into his tent. The desk inside was in complete disarray. He glared back, and I paused for a moment before hurriedly explaining. I never came in without permission. I always waited at the entrance. It's a good thing I didn't go in, or it would have given him another reason to criticize me. Pei Yu's eyes darkened for a moment as he said quietly, "You can enter my tent whenever you want." He looked very reluctant. Ping'an immediately stepped in to smooth things over. I did remember to clear the desk, but I forgot in the midst of the commotion. He frantically cleared a space to set down the pastries. I had been willing to play along with this Lord's act earlier, but now I've lost all interest. He wears two faces, one in front of others and another behind their backs. I gave a cold smile and casually picked up a pastry. These snacks were all quite sweet. And Pei Yu didn't like sweet things. When I bought them earlier, I hadn't remembered that and just got what I liked. Have you been very busy these past few days? The person across from me tentatively asked. I weighed my words before replying. Not really, it's just that all sorts of things, big and small, need someone to arrange them. Pei Yu nodded gently. I was wondering why you haven't been coming to the Ministry of Justice. It's just as well. That place is cold and damp, and it holds many important prisoners. He realized he had said too much, choked, and then continued. For household matters, you can let the butler handle them. I'm not asking you to give up your authority over the butler. I just don't want you to be tired. I was indeed impulsive today. Pei Yu seemed possessed today, speaking in a muddled way. I had eaten half a plate of pastries, and he was still spouting all these high-sounding words, making me wonder if there were spies outside the tent, forcing him to play the role of a gentle and considerate husband. There's no need for you to say more, my lord. I won't take any of it to heart. It's getting late, and my mother-in-law is home alone doing chores. I should go back and help her. Pei Yu stood up to see me out. Has anything been going on with mother lately? I sneered inwardly. Of course, it's about taking a concubine for you. Since she wouldn't tell Pei Yu, there was no need for me to be a scapegoat. Spreading this news would do me no good, especially since Pei Yu was quite angry about it in my previous life. I prevaricated, "It's just a family banquet for some people. Nothing major." He didn't press further, but I sensed he had something to say, hesitating to speak the whole way. It wasn't until he dropped me off at the door that he tentatively asked, "Does Madam know General Shun from way back?" I heard his big brother's classmate, seeing how anxious Madam was just now. "Your relationship must be very good. How does this casual small talk sound so sarcastic?" I answered truthfully, "He has a good relationship with my brother. And I only met him a few times when we were children." Pei Yu seemed to let out a sigh of relief. He had never asked me about these matters before, as if I were someone dispensable. Today, he only asked out of fear that any mishap might bring shame to the Pei family. I looked at him calmly. "Don't worry, sir. I entered using the Duke's residence token. If anything goes wrong, it won't fall on the Pei family." Pei Yu looked at me with a strange expression. "You are my wife. If something happens, of course I'll be the first to shield you." What kind of talk is that? Wife, soon, I won't be anymore. Before long, I will have nothing to do with the Pei family or Pei Yu. That hidden guard has already returned with the one he truly loves. Although my mother-in-law had been ill, she was remarkably efficient when it came to taking a concubine. In just 3 days, she had 2 candidates, and she even made a point of announcing it in front of me. I originally intended to take 2. But considering your diligence as the main wife, I'll just take one for now. She showed me the girl's portrait, and whatever she said, I agreed. Perhaps fearing my reaction, he had specially prepared a whole host of comforting words for me. "This child is sensible and well behaved. If you're worried, you can teach her yourself when she enters the household. Ordinary families don't go through such trouble to take a concubine. It's only because you are a daughter of the Duke's mansion. And Pei Yu fears you'll feel wronged and cause a scene back home, that he has delayed taking a concubine." Those last few sentences pierced straight into my heart. I remember when I first met Pei Yu, he was still a minor official, yet he dared to overstep his rank to advise the emperor, impeaching many corrupt officials and uncovering all the evidence. When he came to his father for justice, his eyes were firm and clear. Now that he's entered the world of fame and fortune, has he also begun to fear power? I smiled with relief. There's nothing in this world that remains constant, let alone the human heart. Since everything is arranged, I just need to step aside and watch the show. In a few days, my mother-in-law will bring someone over for Pei Yu to see, just as his beloved is also about to arrive. If I remember correctly, it's also during this time that Pei Yu will be injured in the line of duty and gain the emperor's favor. Thus his official career will take off like a tiger with wings. These are all good things, and it would be perfectly good if I weren't here. That evening, I told Pei Yu I wanted to go home to visit my family. He didn't object and even prepared many things for me to take back to my father, under the clear, cold moonlight. This was the first time I had sat with him since my rebirth. The scent of tea filled the courtyard, and my heart had never felt so peaceful. "I don't know if it's just my imagination, but you seem different from before. Why don't you ask me what's been happening lately? You don't light the lamps at the gate anymore, and I had Ping wait daily at the Yamen entrance, but I never saw you send anyone to deliver anything." He spoke so many words in one breath that I didn't know where to begin to answer. I swirled my teacup, and the moon within it shattered instantly. "Your lordship worries too much. I am a little tired and will rest now. We leave early tomorrow, so I won't bid you farewell." I set down the cup, and with it, the moon I had once strived with all my might to reach, but could not. The evening breeze was cool. Pei Yu reached out and caught my fluttering sleeve, then stood up, blocking my path. "I am a dull and rigid man. So if there is anything that displeases you, my lady, you must tell me so I can know. The greatest joke in the world is Pei Yu saying he is dull. He isn't rigid, his heart simply isn't with me. When Uwn returned in my previous life, he was attentive to her every need. Fearing I might mistreat her, I looked down at my toes, feeling an intense pain in my chest. I once held countless hopeful moonbeams, yet not a single one ever fell upon me. I had many questions to ask, but I swallowed them all back. In this lifetime, he didn't kill me, and nothing happened. I will sever all ties with him to protect myself and preserve the honor of the Duke's estate. It's late at night, my lord. You should rest early. I reined in my emotions and turned away, not sparing him another glance. Early the next morning, I left the Pei residence with Xiao Jing. Xiao Jing looked at the things filling the carriage and seemed to sense something. "Miss, are you not planning to come back?" "Yes," I replied clearly and firmly. Xiao Jing was taken aback for a moment. "A separation is for the best, even if people criticize you for the rest of your life. It's still better than wasting your years in this place." The first thing I did upon returning was to tell my father that I wanted a separation, as urgently as when I had begged him to let me marry him in the first place. After I finished speaking, I thought my father would respond with cold sarcasm, and I was even prepared for him to scold me. After all, it was my own lack of clarity back then. Unexpectedly, he just said calmly, "As long as you've made up your mind, that's fine. The daughter of our Duke's residence doesn't need to compromise or endure." What I thought would be the hardest hurdle turned out to be passed so easily. Soon, the covert guards from the Pei residence sent word that UWN had returned, and the Pei family held a banquet for 3 days. A few days later, the secret guard reported that the concubine the old lady of the Pei family had brought in was instead betrothed to an ordinary family. Indeed, with UWN back, Pei Yu naturally wouldn't take a concubine. According to the secret guard, Pei Yu was very angry about this and confronted his mother, who shifted all the blame for the concubine matter onto me. The secret guard's letter had just arrived when Pei Yu's letter followed right after. It was clear he was furious. The letter contained only 2 words: "Return at once." I know that letting me go back meant giving up the position of the principal wife. Thinking of that poisoned wine, I smiled. When it came to UWN, he was always in a hurry. I took out the divorce letter I had prepared long ago and had the secret guard deliver it back. Once this letter was sent, everything was over. A thin sheet of paper felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds. My hand holding the letter trembled uncontrollably. If we were to meet again someday, I would have to address him as Lord Chief Counselor. I thought there would be a quick response, but unfortunately, after waiting for days, there was no word. Could it be that Pei Yu wants more than just a divorce letter? Has he always wanted my life, or is he trying to use me to bring down the Duke's residence? I was racking my brains to find an answer when a servant suddenly stumbled in. Panicked, "Miss. Lord Pei is here. He's standing at the gate with a sword. I'm afraid we can't stop him. Father and brother are both away. Did he plan his timing? Shouldn't he be in the palace, recovering from his injuries, having earned merit, and then receiving his title and reward, escorted by a group of guards?" I went out to meet him. Under the clear blue sky, he stood alone at the entrance of the Duke's mansion, his right shoulder wounded and still bleeding. The dark red blood staining the front of his clothes. Had he not gone to the palace? Seeing me leave, Pei Yu let out a cold laugh, the obsession in his eyes almost palpable. "It's been 7 days since my wife returned to the Duke's mansion. I've come specifically to take her home." I looked at him through the layers of guards. Since he was here, I might as well make things clear. A few days ago, I sent the divorce papers, stamped by the authorities, to the Pei mansion. Didn't Lord Pei see them? Is my wife referring to this? Pei Yu pulled out the blood-stained divorce papers from his embrace, his eyes narrowing slightly as he scoffed, then tore the papers to shreds with several ripping sounds. I dared to confront Pei Yu because I was certain he wouldn't dare to do anything, but now it seems that might not be the case. He dared to tear up the official divorce document stamped by the government right in public. For someone as cautious as Pei Yu, this was no different from going mad. He stepped forward with a sword in hand, one step at a time, while the household guards raised their blades, standing firm and ready to defend. My nerves were stretched to the breaking point, and cold sweat poured down my back. He is now a meritorious official of the court. If a conflict were to truly break out in the Duke's residence, the guards shielded me as I stepped back, but Pei Yu advanced step by step. "Put down your swords." I quickly considered the consequences and made a decision. If I were to die again in this lifetime, I must not drag the Duke's residence down with me. I ordered the guards to retreat behind me, and I stood alone, trembling almost uncontrollably, before Pei Yu. In the end, I couldn't hold back my emotions. My eyes welled up with tears as I asked, "Do you hate me this much?" Pei Yu's fierce expression instantly vanished. He dropped the sword in his hand and spoke bitterly. "Hate you? I'd like to ask you instead, why were you so determined to leave my side? Or have you truly fallen for General Shen? You know very well what's in your own heart. Why drag an innocent person into this?" Perhaps my sarcastic words provoked Pei Yu, as he pulled me into his arms, the heavy scent of blood making me extremely uncomfortable. "It doesn't matter who you fall for, in the end. You can only stay by my side." The words were so soft, only I heard them. I looked up in surprise, his dark eyes filled with madness. He scooped me up by the waist, forcefully lifting me onto his horse, then swung himself up, carrying me back to the Pei family like a bandit. Returning to the Pei residence, the eunuch sent by the palace to deliver the imperial decree was waiting at the entrance. Seeing Pei Yu act in such a manner, he dared not even breathe loudly. Pei Yu's face had turned nearly deathly pale, the wound on his shoulder was still bleeding, soaking my entire back, yet he still carried me over his shoulder as if afraid I would run away. All the way back to the courtyard where I used to live, he placed me in the room and locked the door when he left. I had clearly moved all my belongings away, yet the furnishings in the room were exactly as I had left them. Even the rouge and powder on the dressing table remained unchanged from before. I was locked up for a day, filled with dread. Even when food was brought, it was passed to me through a small, square, movable window in the door. Peiyu truly treated me like a prisoner. I didn't eat any of the food he sent, fearing it was poisoned, nor did I dare to sleep, afraid of waking up back in the woodshed. After a whole day, I didn't even dare to drink water. My head felt heavy and my feet light. I didn't have the strength to stand. Peiyu went to the palace for his enfeoffment. After causing such a scene, I wonder if he'll still be successfully enfeoffed. Father and my elder brother must surely know by now that I've been abducted by him. I was just thinking. Creak, and the door opened. I lifted my eyelids to look, and Peiyu had already changed his clothes. Although his face was pale, he looked better than he had that morning. It wasn't until I saw the waist token at his belt that my heart sank completely. Peiyu was a man of many tricks. His brazen act of snatching someone from the Duke's mansion hadn't affected him in the slightest. I cautiously stood up, holding onto the table. He glanced down at the untouched food on the table. And his face turned completely cold. "Why aren't you eating?" I took a few steps back, widening the distance between us. "Congratulations on your promotion, Lord Pei." Because I hadn't eaten, I felt weak all over. I swayed back a few steps, and my vision went black. Just as I was about to fall backward, Peiyu rushed forward and caught me. I couldn't hold on any longer and collapsed into his arms. Peiyu held me tightly and suddenly let out a cold laugh. "Since my wife doesn't want to eat, shall I feed you myself?" I turned my head away, unwilling to look at him, only to feel myself lifted effortlessly as Peiyu carried me horizontally toward the bed, then gently laid me down. Lord Pei is truly skilled at manipulation. Tearing up the divorce agreement, openly snatching me from the Duke's residence, and yet managing to escape unscathed. When did the laws of Great Qi start being rewritten by Lord Pei? Fang Ji. Peiyu called me by my full name. I stared coldly at him as he gave a sinister smile and said leisurely, "If it means keeping you by my side, I wouldn't mind using the most despicable and underhanded methods." I wearily closed my eyes. "I hardly recognize you anymore. Can't you just let me go? Considering I found UWN for you." Peiyu let out a strange laugh. "UWN." With a loud thud, he slammed his hands on either side of me, his eyes wide with fury. "You've been such a good wife, so generous that pushing me to one woman wasn't enough. You even want to take a concubine for me. How wonderful. The Ministry of Justice officials all praise you. They say you are gentle, wise, and considerate of your husband." He gritted his teeth as he spoke the last few words. And I strained my neck, fearing he might bite me in his rage. But as for his words, I truly couldn't find any fault in myself. I've stepped aside for him and UWN, and I haven't even been jealous when he took concubines. What more does he want? I glared at Peiyu, indignant. In the heated standoff, he called out, "Ping'an, come in." Ping'an's figure quickly appeared at the doorway. His face was haggard and serious, clearly having suffered no less at the hands of his master. "You tell the madam." "Where did UWN go?" "To answer, madam. Miss Yu has been sent back to Jinju, and the old madam has also returned to Jinju to live out her golden years." I suddenly widened my eyes. Ping'an's words were tactful, but judging by Peiyu's expression, the scene of sending back to Jinju would probably not be very friendly. My mother-in-law was still waiting for Peiyu to become the Grand Secretary so she could be granted the title of first-rank lady. Peiyu held the freshly cooked porridge, stirring it gently, looking indifferent. "Because I liked you. I always hid it well, acting as a righteous and abiding person. I wanted to be worthy of you, afraid you'd discover my pretense. Now, telling you doesn't matter." He paused, turning slightly to face me as he continued. "You know she's only my stepmother. When I truly rose to high position, I kept her around for the reputation of filial piety. You know how much His Majesty values that." The candlelight in the room cast shadows on his profile. Though he sat right beside me, he felt as distant as the horizon. "Lady sent the covert guards to find UWN in regret. Why didn't she bother to find out who sent her away to be an adopted daughter?" My heart tightened. I thought finding UWN was enough, and I didn't pay much attention to her background. Peiyu lowered his gaze, his eyes growing cold. "She is my stepmother's daughter. When I wasn't an official, my family was poor. After my father fell ill and passed away, she sent her daughter to a well-off family to be adopted. She never expected me to reach this position today." Even I didn't expect a small county magistrate like me to get to where I am now. If they had gotten along, it would have been fine. Supporting one more person in the pay mansion is no big deal, but they insisted on causing trouble. Sending them away is doing them a favor. What trouble? What kind of trouble? I asked in confusion. Pei Yu gave a hypocritical smile. Madam need not concern herself with such sordid matters. Just know that I cannot tolerate any misconduct. In the future, could you refrain from using your authority to save people? Pei Yu's tone was calm, yet it carried an undeniable pressure, even a hint of coercion. I looked at him defiantly. I'll save whoever I want to save. Why should I stop? Pei Yu, with a dark expression, gritted his teeth and said, just because you've given me your waste token. You can't give it to anyone else. From now on, your eyes should only have me in them. What kind of logic is this? I wanted to argue back, but he was so angry that his chest heaved violently, and he ended up spitting out a mouthful of blood. Oh no, I'm going to be the death of Pei Yu first. I propped myself up to look at him. Are you, all right? He tilted to the side and collapsed to the ground, the bowl in his hand clattering as it rolled away. Ping-an, who had been standing outside, rushed in at the sound, and I stared dumbfounded at Pei Yu on the floor. My lord, I told you something would happen. How could a normal person get out of bed after 50 lashes? 50 lashes? I thought he only injured his shoulder. Ping-an called for the servants while speaking urgently. Does madam truly believe that sir, after his actions today, can escape unscathed without shedding some blood? I think sir has truly gone mad. 50 lashes, and he had no defense. He simply accepted it himself. I genuinely thought Pei Yu had formed a faction and engaged in illicit activities to evade the law, but it turns out he simply bore the brunt of it himself. He has always preferred to be thorough in all matters. Since he dared to trespass into the Duke's mansion, it means he has cast everything aside. The next morning, as soon as I opened my eyes, I saw Pei Yu sitting by my bedside, his face as pale as paper. I sighed. Never having realized before how obsessive he could be. Aren't you injured? Why aren't you resting properly? Pei Yu looked at me weakly. I'm afraid if I rest, you'll disappear again. I just wanted to see you. If you're annoyed with me, shut up. I glared at him, then moved further into the bed, patting the empty space I'd made. Come to bed. He paused for a moment, then quickly got into bed, his hand naturally finding its way to my waist. I poked his chest with my finger, pushing him away. I said rest, not do anything else. Oh, he said dejectedly, still resting his head on my shoulder and slowly closing his eyes. After a while, he spoke softly, a hint of worry in his voice. You're not leaving, are you? I slowly closed my eyes too. I won't leave anymore. Only after hearing this did he finally fall into an exhausted sleep. Outside, the cicadas began to chirp, buzzing away the springtime as a lush, green summer approached. In this utterly ordinary stretch of mortal life, I had found someone I wanted to spend the rest of my days with. He wasn't the radiant, principled, and impeccably mannered person I had imagined. Instead, he was stubborn, opinionated, and not much of a talker. Unfortunately, I found him clumsy yet endearing, as amusing as a stubborn donkey, and I wanted to be with him. I fell into a peaceful sleep, then had a dream where there was nothing but a book, its pages constantly turning. As I drew closer, the pages stopped turning. Like time finding an accidental resting place in the torrent of history, boldly written on it were a few words. On the 9th day of the 6th month of the 12th year of Changning, Grand Secretary Pei Yu murdered his mother and sister in a fit of madness. The emperor, enraged, ordered his death. He then took his own life before his wife's grave, at the age of 24. Extra chapter. The first time I saw Fang Ji was at the academy. At that time, I was a minor county magistrate, traveling to the capital for a wrongful case, making a desperate last stand. It was the dead of winter, and I thought the capital would be warmer than that small town, but I didn't realize that warmth only existed where the high officials and noble families resided. Shivering in my tattered cotton clothes, I stood at the academy gates, hoping to find a connection, any official who, knowing of the injustice in Jinju, wouldn't stand idly by. But at the emperor's feet were only noble families, none of whom would care about the lives of common folk in a small place. Occasionally, kind-hearted people would pass by, advising me to report the case through the proper channels, layer by layer. Yet, that was a path to an even quicker death. In Jinju, officials protected each other, every avenue was blocked. Holding my petition, I stood at the academy gates for several days, buying a few dry biscuits when hungry and sleeping in a stable. The academy's staff would often shake their heads at me and say, "If you freeze to death, don't let it happen at our academy's doorstep." I huddled at the entrance of the academy, not bothering to argue with him, The colder the weather, the better it kept the chilblains on my hands from flaring up. Light, delicate footsteps sounded behind me. Struggling to my feet, I bowed and said, "Sir, please wait a moment." Before I could finish, I noticed the feet that had stopped in front of me. Embroidered shoes peeked out from beneath a pomegranate red skirt. It was a young lady. I feared my appearance would frighten her, so I swallowed the rest of my words, wanting to retreat back into the corner and continue to curl up. "Why don't you finish what you were saying? What trouble are you in?" As a soft, clear voice spoke, a paper umbrella tilted towards me. In the wind and snow, the girl's face was even more translucent than the snow, and no matter how vast and cold the world, it couldn't chill her warm, smiling eyes. She wore a thick cloak, her slender hand emerging from layers of sleeves, gripping an umbrella tightly. She slowly descended the steps, shielding me from the snow. I had been looking up at her, but as she walked down step by step, an instant wave of inferiority and helplessness enveloped me, clinging to me and dragging me into an abyss. I bowed my head low. I had pleaded with so many people, always in a subservient tone, but I had never felt such torment as I did now. I knelt on the ground and explained the case to her from beginning to end. She did not rush away like others, nor did any household servants come to strike me. She listened quietly to the whole story from beginning to end. Perhaps she was a noble lady from some distinguished family. I didn't dare hope she would help me. I was already grateful that she listened to me. "This is the waste token of the Duke's residence. Come visit tomorrow. The Duke's household can uphold justice for you." I looked up in disbelief as the token was handed to me. Even now, I still can't describe the emotions that surged in my heart at that moment. I reminded myself that I wasn't worthy of her, desperately restraining the feelings in my heart, telling myself it was nothing more than gratitude until I later married her. I only thought about climbing up quickly, so I could be worthy of her and make her not regret marrying me. Inferiority often makes one underestimate the other's love, until she took the waste token to save someone else. The urgency in her eyes and the concern in her actions completely tore apart the self-deception I had held onto for years. This jealousy spread like wildfire. The more I tried to make amends, the further I strayed from the right path. I charged recklessly, not knowing how to find my way into her heart. After she returned to the Duke's residence, she even brought UWN back with her. I wanted to wait for her to return and ask for a clear explanation, but to my surprise, UWN and the old lady had other ideas. Seeing that I wouldn't take a concubine or a secondary wife, they conspired to poison my wife. After their plot was exposed, I immediately sent them back to Jinju. I waited for her to return, waited for the case to be concluded and for me to receive my title and reward. Perhaps then I would have the confidence to face her, but what I received was a divorce letter. I was furious, losing control for the first time in front of my colleagues, kicking over a table. At that moment, I had only one thought: go directly to the Duke's mansion, snatch her back, and then lock her up. I no longer wanted to pretend to be a gentleman. I did exactly that, snatched her back without hesitation, then stripped away all my pretenses without holding back. I thought she would be afraid, would struggle to escape, would regret marrying a hypocritical, gloomy wretch, but she didn't. Just as I never expected her to stop for me in the first place, I had shackled myself with countless chains, living in my own world, pretending not to hear no matter how she knocked at the door. Thankfully, she was willing to wait for me. The end.